Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David and this is a deck review. Today we're going to look at the King's Deck from Ellusionist.com. Now, the King's Deck was designed by Peter McKinnon and Daniel Madison, and they're two of Ellusionist's top artists. And so I don't think if you don't know who Peter McKinnon or Daniel Madison are, well, if you don't know who they are, you should find out who they are. Hey, this deck was, like I said, designed by them. It's a really attractive deck. It's a beautiful tuck case all around, and there's a lot of bells and whistles to this that we'll get into in just a moment. But right now, let's take a look at this tuck case.
Just to take a close-up look at the King's tuck case, it's molded in a gold gloss tuck paper. And as you can see on the front there's the King's logo of the crossed axe and sword. Across the top, it says McKinnon and Madison. And the side says, "Think like kings." I know it's kind of hard to read. And the bottom there, this part is embossed. It's some ad copy about Ellusionist, and it kind of has a braille kind of feel to it. You can actually feel the letters raised. The back side is just matte, and it's just plain with no embellishments whatsoever. And I would say one thing about this tuck case, just as a kind of a heads up, there's no seal, which I like. You know, I love the fact that Ellusionist doesn't put seals on their decks anymore. But because this is a foil gloss type of a deck, what I would worry about is your fingernail digging into the edge here every time you open the tuck case. And what you're going to do is you're going to end up chipping off the gold aspect, and you kind of make your tuck case look kind of all ratty. So maybe what you want to do is just open the tuck with the fleshy part of your thumb and kind of move it open that way. And that might help make your tuck case last a little longer. So that's pretty much it for the tuck case. Let's take a look at these cards.
So I said earlier that the King's Deck has a lot of bells and whistles, and it's true. One of the great things about this deck is it comes to you straight from the United States Playing Card Company, sealed in a mnemonica stack. Now, mnemonica is a deck stack. It's a stack that you can memorize. A man named Juan Tamires, a magician, he released this stack in one of his books. And so many magicians find this to be a deck stack that completely looks random, but still allows them to memorize the location of every single card. And what that allows you to do is, if you memorize your stack, you can simply unwrap the deck in front of a spectator and show them that it's a brand new deck. And then what you can proceed to do is do a couple of full shuffles, bringing the deck back to its original order. And then from there, you simply know any location of any card. And so if you were to fan the cards out and say, you know, pick any card you'd like, and they pick that card, you'd be able to look at the card right on top of it, just glimpse it, just in a flash, and you would know the card beneath it. And so it's a really easy way to know a spectator's card at any given time. Now, one of the other cool things about this deck is it comes to you from the United States Playing Card Company. You are going to get their good, nice, flexible retail stock. This deck does have air cushion embossing, and this deck also has a traditional cut. Now, you don't often hear that as much because with a traditional cut, there's an extra step. By default, the United States Playing Card Company cuts their cards in a modern cut, which means the blade and the cutter comes down and pushes through the back of the card. But in a traditional cut, the blade actually pushes through the face. And what that does is it creates a rounded, softer edge on the face of the card, and then a harder, sharp edge on the back. And so that allows people that are better at table pharaohs, maybe some sort of gambling routines, to do table pharaohs much more easily, actually straight out of the box. And so if you'd like to learn more about cuts or finish or stock, you can click the link below in the description.
So let's just cover real quick why this is called the King's Deck, and we'll also look at two of the custom courts. You'll notice that the King of Diamonds is Daniel Madison, and the reason why this deck is called the King's Deck is because the symbol for the King's Deck is the crossed weapons of the sword and axe, and both the weapons come from the kings. So Daniel Madison is the King of Diamonds, and you can see his weapon is the axe, which is repeated right here in one of the full-size jokers. And then Peter McKinnon is the King of Hearts, and his weapon is the sword, and you can see that this is the same sword from the King of Hearts, and his weapon is also repeated in this full-size joker. And plus you will also notice that Daniel and McKinnon both chose to be the red kings, and that's kind of nice because it keeps them equal, keeps them both in the same playing field, and so that is why the deck is called the King's Deck. Now, aside from the diamonds and the hearts, the kings, the only other custom courts are their respective queens. And so the Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Diamonds are also custom courts. And then the jacks and the rest of the courts are going to be standard. You'll also notice that the colorings on the courts have been altered just a little bit. They've been recolored with some really dark burgundies and some golds. And this is your King's deck Ace of Spades that is a split spade in a matter of speaking. And it says Think Like Kings at the bottom.
The back design of the King's deck is the King's logo repeated. And so it is the crossed axe and sword just going down the deck in a two-way design. So once you flip it, it's the same on both sides. So there's 3 rows on top and 3 rows on the bottom, so it keeps things perfectly even. Now the other thing I will say about the back design, and it's really no secret, is that these are reader backs, which means once you look at the back of the deck, you should be able to determine what the topmost card is. Or if a card is selected and on the table, you should be able to glance at it and be able to tell what card that is. And let me just say, compared to other reader back decks, this system is very simple. It's very easy. And it's something you can learn right away. This is not a complex system. That's the plus side. Now, the negative side is you have to look in 2 locations. You have to look in one location for the value, and you have to look in one location for the suit. And so typically in reader backs, all of your indicators are kind of in one centralized location. But in this deck, you actually have to glance over a larger portion of the back in order to find the value. So it does kind of make things a little slower, and so that would only mean that you need to be faster at reading these backs. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to stare at for a long period of time. So like I said, I got the system down really fast, and I'm able to just decipher each card, sitting in front of the couch while I watch TV, but it's still a little slow in the process just because of the real estate that I have to look at on the back of the card, but I'll get better, I'm sure. Like I said, the deck comes in a mnemonica stack when it comes to you straight out of the box. I don't have mine in that stack order right now. I've played with my deck and shuffled it. What I do want you to see is the reds in this deck are a little darker. They're a little deeper red. They're not your traditional, bright red. But your blacks are going to be completely standard and very familiar to you. You've seen these a million times. Your court cards are also going to be standard courts. They're just going to have a little bit of a recoloring. So the burgundies and the golds that are evident throughout this deck are going to be a little bit more pronounced. So you're going to get your one gaff card, which is your double backer, which is probably the most utilitarian gaff that you can use. This is really good for everything. And you're going to get one of Daniel Madison's Angle Z cards. And if you don't know how to do Angle Z, it's no problem. When you purchase this deck, you're going to get a download where Peter McKinnon and Daniel Madison walk you through the deck. They tell you how to use some of the gaffs, and they tell you how to use the marking system. Well, that's pretty much it for this deck review. As always, we recommend that you like this video just so other people can find it faster. You can also subscribe to this channel just to stay up to date on the latest in cards and card magic. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at facebook.com/magicorthodoxy and twitter.com/magicorthodoxy. Thanks. Bye.